Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So we have a few fabrication jobs to do this week, but on my own tractor puller. So yeah, this is my Leyland 285 tractor puller. I did a video on it last year when I was getting it ready, putting it back together. And then this year I've got a few jobs I need to do to it. So this year at Emily Moore, the Fun Police have got involved. Sorry, not the Fun Police, the insurance have got involved. I think it's the IOPD. And they've introduced a class with a rule book that we have to follow. So it's called the Historic Modified class that I'll be entering into with this if I get it done in time. Which means there's a few more rules that I have to follow. So the turbo needs a shield around it in case that explodes. It needs some kind of frame underneath in case front wheel comes off, it lands on a frame rather than the axle digging in. Which, to be fair, there is a few videos on YouTube of when a wheel comes off and the axle digs into the ground and then yeah, they end up tipping over or ending up in a big heap, which is not good. I need a 4-point harness on my seat, proper seat belt. I've just got a lap belt at the moment. On the back here, it needs 2 strips of metal from one side to the other, one at the bottom and one at the top somewhere, in case the seat base breaks, to stop the seat coming over backwards. The hitch, you're only allowed to pull from 600mm high, which I think that bottom one is slightly lower than 600mm, so I should be all right using that one. And I just have to make an adapter so you can put a hook on through it rather than a ring, like this was made for a ring. I also have to have a reverse light and a reverse bleeper. I don't know why I have to have a bleeper, that sounds stupid. I already have a shut-off valve, spring-loaded shut-off valve for the air intake. I have to alter my cross bolts in my exhaust. It needs to have a 16mm like stub in the centre in case the shaft snaps in the turbo. It stops the whole lot coming out, which they do sometimes. I also have to turn my revs down to 3000 revs, which goes against every bone in my body, turning it down. I want more power, not less power. So the first job I'm on with is I'm making a frame, a skid to go from here down underneath and then up to there. Obviously there'll be one at this side, one at the other side. So I'm going to use this bit of tube. It's far heavier than it needs to be really, but it was left over from a job and it's been sat in the yard for a couple of years. I've no other use for it, so I thought might as well use this. So it's like 75mm, be 5mm thick, I think. Just less than 80 and like 5mm wall thickness. I've got this bit cut already and that'll come down at an angle sort of like that, and then I just need to cut some bits to go like parallel with the ground, and then there'll be a bit coming down from the chassis up there. So that bit I've cut, it's I think that's a 30-degree angle on the top there, but if I offer it up to that like that, I think it's going to be too sharp of an angle and it's good sticking to the ground a bit, so I'm going to half the angle in the saw and cut a little stub off at 15 degrees, so there'll be 15, and get me 30 degrees. So it'll be the same angle as that, just with an extra bit in the middle to make it not quite as sharp. Ideally, you do it with a pipe bender, but I don't have a pipe bender suitable for bending this size tube. I've got that bit of tube, bit of pipe sat on there. I measured from there to there and it's like 505 mil. So I should be able to set that up on my fabrication bench. I'll set that up on, again, some stops. And then another one up there, another stop up here somewhere. Then at least I can get them both exactly the same then. Yeah, so that's that bit fastened in there. And then that bit wants to be up to that bit. That's 505 mil from there to the top of that. So I just need a bit cutting off here and then a bit to fill in there. I'll just cut another bit off that will go in there like that. So that gives me sort of a nice smooth angle. So I think it'd probably be easier cutting it off from this end rather than trying to cut it off at this end. It's just easier to see where it needs to be cut off up here. Just means you'll have to set the saw back to 30 degrees again, but that's easily done. Right, so got that cut to length. I've got two of them cut. I'm just gonna tack this together and offer it up to the tractor and make sure it looks right before I cut the other bits out. I'll have to take it in bits again anyway to chamfer around them edges. But yeah, I've got all my stops set up, so that is parallel with the bench. Can't not be parallel because it's into two holes. Stop there, and stop at that end. And then stops up there for that angle. And then that's put it up again there. And that's parallel because there's two in there. So hopefully that should look all right on the tractor. And then I'll have to put something from this end back up to the chassis rail, and then probably something from this one across underneath the tractor to the other side to hold them steady. Yeah, I don't think that looks too bad. So then it's a box, it's sat on about level with the bottom of the rim, which is how it's supposed to be on the competition tractors. I know this axle pivots still, but I didn't want to weld anything onto the axle, so I thought it was better coming off the chassis than it is coming off the axle. I have seen some welded onto here, but I don't think they look as good. To make a plate to go over the end of that and probably press it up inside this and bolt it on there. And then whether I can use some of these bolt holes and have something up from here to there. So the worst thing I find with tube when you're cutting angles, you cut one angle and then you have to turn it around to cut the other angle, is making sure that both your angles are on the same plane as each other. Sometimes you end up more one way and more the other. So what I've been doing is just been using that bit of box section, drawing a line across there, and then when I turn it round and move it through, and then just measure from one chalk mark down to the ground on both sides and make sure it's parallel, which is accurate enough for this job. Right, that's the bits for the second one cut. There's the first one, this is the second one. So it fits in there how it should do, and it fits up to there how it should do. So I give them a spin round in the belt sander, put a bit of a chamfer on them with a bevel. Same with that one, I'll untack that one, clean them up and then weld them round. I've got them tacked up then, so they're both pretty much identical apart from this end. I think they're both same length. I've just got this angle cut not quite straight, which once I've got them welded up I can put them back in the saw and chop them off. Not that you'd really notice. And then I've got them chamfered round. So yeah, we'll get them welded up now. I've got that welded up. I wouldn't make much of a pipe welder, but I've got it smoothed off, something like. And then I've possibly cut this plate out to go on to them 2 bolt holes and weld onto there. And then I've also cut another plate out there that goes over the top of the tube and it welds onto here as well. So that's what it looks like from the top. Like that. And then I've just got this bit of tube in here as a mock-up to see what it's going to look like. So I'm not sure whether I like that or not. I don't know whether to repeat what I've done at the front, at the back, so it comes up at an angle the same, or whether to just do it like that. Obviously that would be quicker, and I am short of time, but I sort of want it to look right as well. I don't want to just be rushing it just for the sake of it. And then for the back here, I'd probably have to drill 2 more holes because these all seem random. They're not the same either side. Yeah, drill 2 more plates and then 2 more holes, and then I'd press a plate around underneath and then weld that to the plate. Yeah, I'll do a copy that and make it the same at the back. Obviously it wouldn't need to be as long as that. So I've just got that other half sat in now, so that is what it sort of looked like if I did it like that. I think that would look better. And then cut another one of them plates out and put it on there so it'd look the same back and front. I have another one of these actually, like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it like that. So it's a bit more work involved, but I think it's going to look a lot better than it would do just with a straight bit up. Right, so that's about bang on. So there's a bit of tolerance there on that bolt hole at that end, but I want a gap there because I want to put a 10mm plate across there and a 10mm plate down the side, same as what I've done at the front. And then, like I said, I'll drill 2 holes in here for it to bolt onto. Hopefully it's not too near that hole. Should be alright, might have to fill that one in. Hopefully that should look alright. Right, so I've skipped ahead a few steps. I just sort of needed to get on and get them done. And that's sort of what it looked like now. So I've got the ends welded on and the second joint at the back welded up. So I just need to mag drill some holes in the chassis rails now for them. That one, that hole, that's a hole already there. Yeah, it's just that's gonna catch that hole, I think. So I might have to weld that one up first. That is sort of design that most tractor pullers have, is sort of tube. Usually they don't use tube as big as that, but it's just what I had. I don't think it looks too bad. I think I just need to weld some bits across to join them together now, and then it doesn't, there isn't any sideways wobble on them then. Not quite sure what I'm going to use for that though. I have some smaller tube, sort of that size. There is a bit there actually. Might be able to use that. So that one I'm just going to send it through, I think, and then put a big washer on the back rather than fill that hole in with weld. That one's alright. It's sat on there anyway. When the weight's pushing up, it's sat on that plate that's welded across that way. So all the bolts are really doing is clamping it together. So I think it'd be alright just with a big washer on the back. I'll make a big thick washer. Right, I got them holes mag drilled through there then. I'll just put a temporary bolt in for now. I'll have to get some proper bolts. And same with this side. It does just break through into the other hole, does that one, but like I said, I'll just put a washer behind it. And then I've also welded in a crossbar, just so one supporting the other one. And a bit of tube that was just about the right length, so welded that in. It was a bit bigger than the stuff I was going to use originally. So yeah, I think that's done for now. It'll do what it needs to do anyway. I'll maybe take it off and paint it another time. Sort of quickly running out of time now. So next job I need to do is they're supposed to have a turbo shield over them in case the turbo explodes, which this turbo is well within its capabilities, so it shouldn't explode, but health and safety. So yeah, it needs to make a 3mm plate all the way around it. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to mount it to yet. The turbo is just sort of sat on the manifold. I didn't really want to put any more weight on the manifold bolts because we've got a lot of weight on them already. Sort of some of the weight of the turbo is sort of sat on the oil return back into the rocker cover. But ideally it wanted some mounting points off somewhere else, but I'll worry about that bit when I get to it. So I'll just quickly drawing this up. Should do, and then that bit cut out where the outlet of the turbo, where the outlet of the pressure side comes out of. So I'll cut that out as a flat pattern like that, and then needs rolling. So that's that plate cut out. I've left that bit in with just some tabs on it. Should help to roll it. If that bit was missing, then this bit would roll more than the rest of it because it's not as wide. So yeah, put that in the rollers now and roll it to shape. So that fits over the top of there and round that. So I just need to make some end plates now and then figure out a way to fasten it in. Right, so I've got one end tacked in. So last time I made one, I didn't leave this bit across the bottom, and then when I welded it up, it pulled out a little bit. So yeah, I've left that bit in. I'll weld it up, and then I'll drill the holes afterwards to hold the actual end plate on. So I just want this one tacking in now. So I'm sort of clamping it down and then using these blocks to pry it up, because it's a little bit off in some places. Right, got both of them ends tacked in now. So I'm gonna weld around there with a TIG welder. I think I welded the last one up I did with a TIG, and I quite enjoyed it. I don't do much with a TIG, so yeah, weld down there. And then there's not as much to grind off either, so it'll take me a bit longer with the TIG, but then I should get the time back by not having to grind it all flat. That's that welded up now then, all the way around on both sides. So it's cooled down. I'll chop these bits out now, I think. I've left that bit round there. I'll have to take the inlet pipe off the turbo to put it on, I think. Yeah, it's better with it on, otherwise there's going to be nothing to support that bit when I put the end plate on. I've got the end plate drawn, which is there, and then going into the guitar software, which is going to mark where the hole centers are, and then it's going to cut it out, that 3mm plate. got all them drilled and a little bit of countersink on them just to make it a bit nicer. I think I will grind that weld down so it sits flat down properly. Then we'll put it on the mill and use a tapping head to tap these holes out to M8. Alright, that's them all tapped. I love that tapping head, it makes the job so much easier and quicker. So yeah, I think I'll mount that on, I'll sit it over the turbo with the ends on and then work out how we're going to mount it. Right, that's that sat on there. I've had to cut a bit out of that for that like support bar for the manifold. And I think that's near enough in the middle. It might want moving around a little bit, and that one's lifting up a bit, so it's in the middle. But now I need to work out how to mount it. There isn't really anything to go off, I suppose. I could maybe go off these two bolts here that the bonnet latch goes on. Whether I could use them at that side, or I was thinking maybe make this side panel on the engine, if I could make just like a triangle piece on there and then weld a bracket off that that goes up past the manifold. And then weld a bracket on here and then bolt it onto that maybe. Whether I could drill that and put a bolt through there. So I didn't really want any more weight on the manifold. I wanted this to be mounted separate. Set the exhaust off as well, obviously, to get that on. Some cross bolts in there. That needs altering as well. Needs a bolt that way that goes up again, or nearly up again, the turbine wheel, in case that shaft snaps, it stops that coming out. But yeah, I'm not going to make it to Emily Moor this weekend. I've sort of run out of time and run out of enthusiasm. It's like 6:30 on a Friday afternoon now. Everything just seems to take a lot longer than you expect. Like, I didn't want to just cobble that together and just for this weekend. I sort of wanted it to look something like. And then even if I do get that mounted, I've still got the cable to go around the engine, which I haven't got. I've got the stays to go around the back of the roll frame. I've got a reverse light to fit and reverse bleeper. I've got that to sort out. And what else have I got to do? 4-point harness to put on, and I've still got the revs to turn down. So I'm not really sure what this video will edit like. Oh, that's another thing I've got to do as well. I've got to edit this video before Sunday. So yeah, I've just run out of time completely this week for going to Emily Moor. So yeah, I'm not going to get all that done before tomorrow. But what I'm doing now, the jobs I'm doing, needed doing anyway, so it's not been a waste of time, but it would have been nice to have got it there this weekend. Another job I'm on with, I've got the engine out with BMW now, and there was, it was low on compression on the cylinder. I compression tested it, and number 4 had no compression at all. You can see the piston is cracked, and there's actually a hole in it there. And there's another piston cracked as well. It was number 1 that was cracked. They're not in any specific order at the moment, but so it wants 2 pistons. And then I'm going to put all new rings on it. The shells are all right, but I'll put some new shells in it anyway. I've got some stronger valve springs to go in it. EGR delete kit, and then I've got all my new bits in here. New piston rings, new head bolts. I've had my injectors tested, they're all right. And just gasket sets, new head gasket, sump gasket. And I've sent the turbos away, they're getting made into hybrid turbos. I'm putting an R90 fuel pump on it and a bigger fuel pressure sensor, run more rail pressure. Yeah, and the goal with that is to get it to 500 horsepower. It was, 286 as standard. It's had a bigger intercooler on it, and it's been remapped, and it was running 356 or something, I think it said on the dyno sheet. Obviously, I never got to drive it at that because of its engine issues, but yeah, when I rebuild it, we're going for 500 horsepower. But yeah, anyway, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.